What can we as BYP members do to help you with the stereotype of young people?
Councillor Shari.
Yeah, I mean, just really have more contact with your local representatives, your local councillors, get involved with them, see what funding is available. Although it's not, admittedly much these days, there is, the Neighbourhood Working Fund. Get involved with that, make sure you have a say into how that is spent locally. Just contact your local representatives, get involved with what's happening in your community, and that gives an opportunity to then showcase it to the local media. So I would say, find out who your local representatives are. A lot of people, most adults don't even know who their local councillors are. Find out who they are, see what resources are available and what's happening locally, and I would suggest, get involved as much as you can. I mean, as co-chair of Brent Youth Parliament, I take whatever you guys say to me at the meetings forward, and I try my best to represent that at committee meetings and on a council level. So that's my role, and I then report back to you. But I think on an individual basis, definitely get in contact with your local representatives.
Thank you, Councillor Shari. And Andy Hammond.
I'd say, first of all, don't undermine what you're doing already, because I think you're doing a fabulous job. Not just but anything you do with Brent Youth Parliament is brilliant, and every single person you come into contact with comes away with a positive impression of what young people are doing in Brent, so pat yourself on the back, first of all. And then secondly, just look for as many ways as possible to be proactive in engaging with your local councillors, engaging with the media, and then perhaps you could think about putting some structure behind it. So the way we work with our media reps is, we have their contact details. It will go out very quickly via an email if we get a call from the BBC, or a text goes out to everyone. You have to act really quickly to get involved with the media. So have you got the systems in place when a call comes into the office to go out to as many people as possible to say, we need a voice, we need it now, is it you? So those are two things I'd say.
Actually, yeah, that's so true. When Andy was talking about United Newsnight a couple of weeks ago, I was literally called at 5 o'clock when I was in Harrow taking some meetings, and from the press officer she said, "Oh, we've got this opportunity, blah, blah, blah. I'm in Belfast, so I can't come with you. Can you go?"
She can't hear you very well, sorry.
Sorry, so she goes, "Yeah, I'm in Belfast, can you go, can you go?" And it is really fast paced, and I think that's definitely something we can do, try and see if we can have a link like that, particularly with Wills and Brent, you've got any news stories, but actually I'll hand it to you now.
Sure. I guess, as a news editor, obviously I'm a journalist and I work in a newsroom. The job isn't that difficult to understand. We write about what people tell us about. We haven't often got time to chase after big stories. Often we rely on people to call us up, to send us an email, to tell us what they're doing and invite us down to something that's happening, and that's a lot of what we do. So I would encourage you to have, you've really got it spot on. You need to have a relationship with us, and you need to set your own agenda and make sure that we listen to you. It's important that you do that. If you're unhappy with what we do, then let us know about it. We have a letters page. I invite anybody who's got anything to say to write to the editor and ask him to publish that letter. And then if he doesn't, call him up and ask him why he hasn't. I mean, that's what that letters page is there for. It's often full of the opinions of politicians, but it's actually for ordinary people to tell us what they think about what we're doing. So do write to us.
Thank you, Andy. Sarah?
I would also say to you that don't assume that the only coverage you're going to get has to be driven by you and done by you. If you get involved with other local events that are happening, involved with charitable organisations that are running events, you can get coverage out of that as well. And yes, you might share that coverage with another organisation, but it's part and parcel of making sure that the coverage of young people isn't just one isolated incident of an article that says, young people do great work. But being part of a story that is about good work that's happening in Brent is also really, really important. It's making sure that it's natural and automatic, and people should begin to assume that the work that you do is fantastic and wonderful and needs to be celebrated. So, for example, the intergenerational project that you were speaking about, I think is fantastic. And I know some of the organisations like Age UK, Age Concern are really keen to do more of that. So get in touch with them and see if there might be other events that you could put on. Now the local paper would love to cover something like that. It makes a great photograph. So if an event makes a good photograph, it's more likely to be in the paper. And yes, you would share the coverage with them, but it's a really, really positive story. So look for those kind of opportunities. Look for opportunities to work with other people, and they might also do the press work for you, which would take a load off your hands.
Thank you, Sarah. And Matt Clark.
What can young people do to break perception? Innovation. 50 minds are better than one. I don't know if it's an agenda item at your youth parliament. You've come up with some great ideas, but is it regular? Or are you actually challenging yourself? What is the question? What are we trying to achieve there? And actually discussing it. I'm sure you're doing something there. I'm going to offer you something now. Stop and search is a big issue for young people, the stereotypical images that go with that. I have a stop and search forum. I want young people to be represented on that. And I'll offer Christian here the opportunity to look at that on your youth parliament and come along and give us your perceptions as to what the reality is. Because we don't always get it right. We do what we think's right, we're not always hitting the nail on the head. So tell us, and that's your opportunity to speak out. That is a great opportunity, and I'll extend that. I would actually offer, if you've got the appropriate person, to actually chair that. For a young person to chair that Stop and Search forum, if they've got the skills. If they need some help with that, we can assist them on that, because it can be a very heated environment. But if you've got the right person with the skills, then I'll offer you to look at coming and actually chairing that meeting, which sits on a quarterly basis.
That's great, thank you, Matt. It's something for us to take on board.